Pedro from A&P-REACTS. I'm here today with Matt from Hatebreed, the great Hatebreed. They're releasing a brand new album, Weight of the False Self, out very soon on Nuclear Blast.
Yes, sir.
How's it going?
It's going good. It's out November 27th, Friday, party day.
Yeah, don't forget, go pick it up before that. Pre-order, get the vinyl.
Yeah, a lot of people have been getting the vinyl and some of the signed CDs. We signed a lot of stuff for pre-order fans. So a lot of people already have it. And it's good because the feedback's been great so far. Everybody loves the record. If you're a purist Hatebreed fan, you're going to love it because we always stick true to what we've done in the past. Of course, that's who we are. But we always like to we pepper in some tidbits, some new stuff, some fresh stuff. So it's a fresh Hatebreed album. You're going to love it. I can't wait to play these songs live.
I think you guys have a serious problem on your hands because this record, there's not one throwaway song at all. So I don't know how you guys. It's a good problem, but how are you going to include all of these tracks on a new set list? I mean, there's a lot of material to choose from.
I guess we have to play for 3 hours.
I was thinking about that.
We've done that before.
I don't know if the crowd could survive. I mean, the last time I was at a Hatebreed show was at Heavy Montreal. And I never felt this close to dying. And at the same time, I never felt this close of having a climax at the same time. So I wasn't really sure which way I was going to go.
That's intense.
It was an intense show.
That festival will do that to you. That's one of the best festivals of the Northeast of North America. Yeah, it's great, man. I love Montreal anyway. You know, I went to college up in Plattsburgh, New York. So I wasn't too far from you guys up there, about an hour drive maybe. So I definitely spent a lot of time in Montreal before touring and playing and stuff like that. So I have a special spot for Montreal and that part of Canada. So
Canada has a special spot for Hatebreed. You guys are loved in Canada.
Love it. Every show, every time we've played Heavy MTL, it's been awesome. The crowd response is great. We get a great slot on the stage during the day. We always play on a great day. Like, you guys definitely show us a lot of love. Never had a bad experience.
By the way, when you guys were creating Destroy Everything, did you guys think that coronavirus was going to use that as their soundtrack?
I'll tell you what, if we knew that back then, we would have set it up to where we'd make a shit ton of money right now.
Because every time that song comes on my playlist, I think of the current world settings, and I'm like, this is the soundtrack of 2020. If 2020 was a song, that song would be it.
Yeah, I tell you what, things just keep crashing down around us. I think every week or every month there's some other addition to the coronavirus, another piece of wood to fuel on the fire. Somebody passes away, or something crazy happens in the government, or more people are getting sick, or more places are closing down permanently. Clubs, bars, restaurants, all of it. I don't know about you. The year's almost over. Great, awesome, 2020. Kiss it goodbye, see you later. Let's start fresh in 2021.
I agree with you. And speaking of starting fresh, you guys have this new record coming out. Take me a little bit behind the scenes. How is the creative process behind a Hatebreed album, more specifically this one?
Oh God, that's my mom calling. Sorry about that. I don't know if you could hear that, but my mother, she always calls at the worst times. That's a mother. That's what they do. Grandma. That's what they do. So yeah, the process of this record, I think the process of every Hatebreed record going back to 2002, Perseverance, that's the first full record I recorded with the band. Every album's been a different approach, a different process, a different recording experience, the whole thing coming together, writing experience, all of it. It's always different. So if you go back all the way to then, 2002, we still had CDs ruling the stores and stuff. And you could still record, it was still somewhat common to record to tape. So you still had that warm sound. Everything wasn't digital yet, completely digital. Fast forward to this album, and a lot of bands can attest to this, the writing process, right? You can record in your house on your laptop, and you can email ideas back and forth. So you don't necessarily have to be in a room together, jamming live, demoing stuff, doing pre-production. It's all done right here in your house on your laptop. and then you could share ideas with the other band members. And that's pretty much, that was our approach for this one. We started the record at the end of last year, so we had just gotten off the road with Dropkick Murphys, took about a month off, and then we started sending ideas back and forth. Some full songs already assembled, some parts, A-B parts, still needed to be built on. You're trading ideas back and forth. When things are finally assembled, you get in the studio and everyone puts their stamp on it and what have you. That's the ultimately the final recording that everyone's going to hear. So yeah, here we are. The album, like I said, we started in November. We finished it end of January maybe. That's mixing, mastering, all the good stuff. Like, hey, it's done. Here we go. We want to put it out in May. Guess what happens in March? Closed for business. The world is closed for business. So thankfully, here we are. We just had to postpone it. Here we are, end of November, and we're able to put it out now. But we were able to squeak out one song that we had recorded When the Blade Drops. We put that out in February, and that was a good taste of our sound for this album. It was a standalone single. The song wasn't going to be put on the album, but it was something fresh for the fans, something to get out to them, because it's been a couple years since Concrete Confessional. We're on 4 years now. Mm-hmm. Roughly, that's the time period for Hatebreed, though, 3 to 4 years between records. So some of the process was the same. Like I said, going back to what I was saying, like, you know, every record is different. Some of this process had elements of the other, of doing the other albums, but then some things are completely new. The marketing ideas and what we've had to deal with to get the album out up to this point, we really had to switch gears and just think about it differently, you know, mm-hmm. altogether. But here we are. So far, so good. Nothing but great feedback about the record. I'm glad it's actually in people's hands now. And the actual, everyone else will have it November 27th.
Where did the title idea come from? Because I think there's a lot to unpack from the title of this record. It's not like one of those titles that's straightforward, that you read it and you get it and you move on.
Yeah, I mean, I think every one of our titles is kind of subject to the listener's imagination a little bit, and that's the appeal of doing a record, right? You can't just have everything given to you. Leave some things to the imagination. It's a Jamie idea, as is all the other titles of the records. I think really it's kind of the push and pull between the angel and devil on your shoulder, you know, and one's always talking to you, and there's that constant battle of you know, what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's bad, however you want to put it, and how you you know, I guess I hate to use the word weight, but that's part of the title, yeah. But like, you know, the actual weight of like not being true to yourself, or not following what's correct for you, or, you know, the guilt of you know, sometimes listening to that devil instead of the angel, you know.
I totally get it.
And the impact that may have.
One of the things that I noticed when I started playing this record was I thought in my mind, in my simple mind, I thought that it would be impossible for Hatebreed to put out a record that it's more intense, then it's heavier, then it's more aggressive than everything that they've released before. I thought you guys have reached the plateau. And then you guys put out this record, and I'm like, holy shit, the guys sound even more pissed off than ever before. Like, there's so much intensity. There's just so much volume in this album. What do you attribute to that?
It's a ripper. It's definitely a ripper. I just think there's still plenty of things to be pissed off about. And as far as playing goes, I mean, that's the type of music we're into. That's the type of music we write. We play aggressive stuff. We play fast. We play loud. We're serious about it. And that's what comes out of us. So at the same time, you know, yeah, the record just punches you in the face from start to finish. But there is some ebb and flow there with a song like Cling to Life, right? Or a song like Stroke of Red, where they have a different feel than just super, super fast, or just a super, super heavy breakdown. You know, there's more of a metal feel. Like Stroke of Red, I think the Megadeth influence is obvious in there. You know, it's just a straight metal song. It's that, I hate to say rock, but it's like that rock metal beat, that rock metal pulse. So it's not just fast, hardcore punk that's punching you in the face. There is that different kind of vibe that breaks it up. And I think those songs are placed perfectly in the album, because right when you've been hit over the head so many times and you're just getting killed by the music, you have a break where there's something a little different, a different vibe, before you start getting beat up again.
Yeah, I felt that the record definitely had those ebbs and flows, not only from song to songs, but even within the songs themselves. You mentioned earlier that there's some nuggets here and there. You always like to sprinkle some new nuances into the record. And I felt that you guys did a lot of that with guitar melodies on this album, that you sprinkled them in some songs, like almost come out of nowhere, like somebody opens the closet door and it hits you. Wow, I wasn't expecting that more melodic riff in this track. But it gives you that chance to almost catch your breath, if you will. And if you didn't have that, the album would be so abrasive, just coming at you in such a violent way that by the end of the record, you just need to lay down and gather yourself, you know?
Well, there you go. You said it better than me. That's what I was trying to say. No, yeah, but you're right. Yeah, there's like a cling to life. There's even those melodic gang background vocals, you know? That's a nice element. A lot of guitar solos, more guitar solos on this album than we've done previously on more songs. And the length of them is a little longer. It's not just a little flash of guitar and then it goes away. So we were able to stretch our legs a little, and Wayne shows some shred in there, you know. Like I said, with those other songs I was talking about, the metal influence on the record is loud and clear. It's not just fast punk or fast hardcore. And then, you know, the first track on the album is Instinctive, which we've already released and everyone's heard it. And the elements of Hatebreed are all there, with the, you know, there's the halftime caveman beat, I like to call it, and there's fast parts and all that. But if you go all the way to the end of the album, a song like Invoking Dominance, the intro to that song, it's a great way to trail the album off, because talking about melody, that entire intro to that song is this layered guitar harmonizing melody that slowly builds up into the thrash, you know? So that's something that we haven't really explored on any previous album.
And the sound of the album, we were talking about the guitars and how meaty they are, and we could talk about that forever, but let's not forget the drums on this record. What is your take on how the drums sound on this album?
Well, it's great production wise. I think, like, I always try to go natural as we possibly can with the natural tones of the drums and the tuning and stuff. I don't like to sound replace. I realize there's a certain level of that just goes with meeting today's production standards, but I like to really have a solid foundation of natural tone with the drums to start out, to begin with. And Tama they just make a great drum, and they're really they're the key to that, I think, for my sound. Production-wise, you know, Zeus has worked on, he's been a part of every album since Perseverance in some capacity. So he's a big part of getting our sound in general, the production, guitars, drums, everything. Drum-wise, like, I just like a lot of low end. I like the thunder. I like it really beefy. Just enough attack, but I just really want to be the ultimate foundation of the record, you know, that sonic warmth, that really low rumble. And my sound coupled with Chris's bass sound absolutely captures that. And everything, you know, I like that. We're like we're the actual cake, and everything else is the icing on it, you know? We're the girth of it. Food reference. I love making food references.
I know. I love the girth. I've never heard anybody refer to the drum sound as girth, but
girthy.
I'm going to start using that on my reviews.
The best way, you should. And you know what? I will take a small royalty on that. Just a small one.
Yeah, we can cut you in. We can cut you in.
Perfect. Can I get US dollars though? Is that probably?
I don't know. I have to pay you in Canadian, so you're actually going to be losing money at the end of the day.
I don't know where the conversion rate is right now. We got to check that. Yeah, girthy. Like, you know what? You really get a good representation of what the album's going to sound like when you play it in your car. That is the true test. If it gets your car thumping, then you know you got something good on your hands. You can't just take it home and play it through your laptop or your headphones or anything. Put it in the car. Go for a fast drive. And if that record sounds good and it's making your car thump, then you know you got something good on your hands. And when I hear the drums in my car right now, I know we achieved that. It sounds awesome.
Do you take a specific game plan when you're coming into an album as far as your drums are concerned, or you kind of like more organic in your approach? Whatever you feel like that record calls for, that's kind of where you go with.
Definitely organic. And I approach the live show the same way. I am conscious of what I've done on previous albums, and I know how I can try to stretch my legs in other directions and add a new element drum-wise to the new album. Of course, you know, the stuff is always going to have the core Hatebreed trademark elements of the drums or the style of beat or just the feel overall. But I try to explore ways to take it off or just add some spice to what I've previously done. I really like taking an improv approach, and I definitely do that live too. I never play the songs exactly how they are on record when I play live. You know, if you want to hear the CD, just put on the CD and there you go. You want to see the live versions, that's a different thing. There's a different energy. There's some of the tempos are up, and usually all my fills are completely different. I'll stick to kind of the general basis of what I did on an album, but I just like to do different stuff. It's a punk rock approach. It's an improv approach. It keeps it fresh. It keeps it, it's kind of like living by the seat of your pants. You know, you're on the edge of your seat. What's going to happen next? What's he going to do there? You know, I try to add like little elements, especially with the older stuff, like stuff, the Satisfaction material or the Under the Knife material. I didn't play on that stuff. So I try to do my own things with those songs and make them my own.
It keeps things fresh for yourself as well, not just for the fans that are coming to watch the show, but for you, like night after night playing the same songs. You need something to keep pushing you forward.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it keeps it interesting. You know, I mean, we've played Destroy Everything, and I Will Be Heard thousands of times at this point. I Will Be Heard is from 2002. You know, and it's a great song. It's a staple of our set. It's one of our, if not our biggest song that we've ever written, and the fans love it. It's not going to go away, and I'm not going to change it to where it sounds ridiculous. So that's always going to be solid and how it is. But some of the other songs I can play with.
Yeah,
I can mess around.
You have a little bit more freedom. Now, this record, I felt from a lyrical perspective, is perhaps the most currently relevant album when you look at the lyrics. I mean, the lyrics with Hatebreed are always relevant, but this album, it's more current. Do you feel that way about the lyrics on this record?
Yeah, absolutely. I think record to record, the lyrics are current for that time period. There's been a lot of reference of COVID to this album. You know, was it influenced by COVID? As I said, the album was actually done pre-COVID. So anything that parallels COVID is just coincidence, you know. But I think a lot of things like, you know, Jamie's the lyricist and everything comes straight from him. So it captures a lot of where he's at in the time period, what he's feeling, subject matter in the world that he's surrounded by, that he is influenced by or inspired by, and what he's writing about. You know, the subject matter, it's all relatable, and it's universal subject matter that a lot of people out there can relate to. And I think that's why we have such a solid fan base who gets so much out of our music. Helping them through hard times, abuse, you know, losing a job, whatever, family stuff, just being down, you know, depression. Depression's common with everybody, different levels. Everybody's got it. A lot of people use our music to help them through, get them through to the other side, get them through the next step. So, you know, it's just very relatable lyrics, and they're easily digested. They're not predictable, but you can understand him when he's screaming, which is odd for a really heavy band, because a lot of times you can't understand the singer, right? And that's great. I love all that stuff too, but he's got such a great thing going on that you can understand his words clearly. So, you know, when you're reading them, that's one thing, you completely digest them and you understand them, but to actually hear him saying those things coupled with the heavy music, it's a great mix. It's a great chemistry there. So,
great therapy.
Yeah, it's a great element to our music, and it translates to therapy for a lot of people.
Where do you think this album ranks in the discography of the band? This is a hard question to answer because you look at all of them and they all have their merit, but where do you think this one stacks?
That's a tough one. That's like having to pick which child of yours is your favorite.
Come on, we always have one that's our favorite.
You're not supposed to say that. Kids are listening to this.
Well, I only have one.
Giving them a complex.
I only have one, so he has to be my favorite.
Oh yeah, you got no choice. I don't know. It's tough. You know, I think like me personally, the new album, it becomes the instant favorite because it's new material and it's fresher material and it's the most fun to play because it's new. And it's fun watching the development of it with how me as a player, you know, I'm getting the song solid and it becomes second nature, and then I'm adding my own little elements to it that weren't there before, but also playing them live. You get to see the fans slowly grabbing onto them and making the new songs their I Will Be Heard or their Destroy Everything, where it's like second nature to them. They know from that first guitar chord or that first drum hit, like, that's my song, you know, here it comes. Yes. So, so that's that. But to put it in the grand scheme of like, I mean, this is my 8th album. I just took a picture of this today of all the records set up. Like it hits you when right before album release day, it always hits me like, man, this is number 8. Here they all are. I'm part of all this stuff, this great stuff, you know? So to have to shuffle them up in order from greatest to least or whatever, I don't know. That's tough. Next interview, I'll do that in the time period from when I don't see you until next time, and then we'll talk about that. Because right now, off the top of my head, that's a tough one. I think my all-time favorite is Rise of Brutality. That was the second one I was on, and that was really where we brought the metal element, right? And it had to follow up Perseverance, which was a banger of an album, first one on Universal. So we really had to deliver, you know, so that one stands up, and there's a lot of like anthems on that, crowd anthems that we still play. So Where Would Weight of the False? So speaking about that album like that, I mean, and the others are so great. Like, where do you, I don't know where it fits.
Nearly impossible.
It's tough.
Yeah. Well, what's the greatest thing of being in Hatebreed?
The greatest thing, it's lame, but it's true. And being able to do this for a living and being able to say that we are a band that has been able to do this for a living for this long, 25 years, 26. I've been in it for 20-ish. That's the greatest thing for me. I was able to be in a band and do music for a living. That's a kid's dream. Rarely is it achieved. It's not completely impossible or unobtainable, but it's crazy to sit here and be like, wow, I was able to, up to this point, and hopefully for 25 more years, able to do this for a living. Times get worse every year with technology and something like COVID throwing a curveball to the entire leisure entertainment industry. To still be here and be able to do this for a living is mind-blowing. I don't take it for granted.
Yeah, I agree with you. And there's one thing that looking back at the shows that I attend, that I realized that you can't really skip a show. When a band like Hatebreed comes to town, I saw you guys twice last year. I saw you guys in Toronto during the 25th year anniversary tour. And then I saw you guys at Heavy Montreal. And you can't take those shows for granted because you just don't know when is the last time something could happen to you. Like now COVID, we can't see shows, nothing is happening. So you definitely have to appreciate every single moment. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think a time like this with COVID will snap you right back into reality. You know, whether you're an ego guy, like rock star on top of the world, or just everyday Joe, like, hey, I'm happy to be here. Either way, you got nothing right now. Yeah. So you got to figure out what you're going to do with yourself and how you're going to keep yourself busy and productive and keep a stream of income coming. And you essentially have to reinvent yourself right now. I hope things come back to like they were. A lot of people say, well, once we have a vaccine, everything will be fine. I don't know. Maybe, hopefully. We'll see. I mean, you can't necessarily get 20,000 people back together in an open area overnight. That's going to take a while to get back there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a gradual process, and people who think you're just going to snap the fingers and everything is going to go back to normal, I think they're fooling themselves. I think we will get there, but it's just going to take, there's going to be a gradual process to get there. We'll be at Heavy Montreal one day. It may not be next year, but we will be there.
I hope so.
We will be there destroying everything. We will be there.
I like what you did there.
That will definitely happen. And speaking of shows, this is something that I really have to ask you. Like, what is one thing that you hated, absolutely hated about being on the road that now you're just dying for it?
The lack of sleep. Now I sleep too much. I don't know what to do with myself. Yeah, no, I can't say I hated, well, the big thing was being away from home so much, I think. Like, it's funny, you look at people who take the normal stuff for granted so much. Just being able to use your own toilet in the morning, or be in your own shower, or just wake up and look out your window at your yard. Whatever makes you happy when you're at home. Those things are gone. You're seeing everything from a bus window, But that doesn't suck either, because that's awesome, having that nomadic style of life. It's great to travel and all the benefits that come with that, eating the different foods in different cities and stuff, because every part of the country or the earth has their own things to offer. But I think, like, you just miss those things that you normally take for granted, when just being at home and being normal for a little while and being in your own comfort zone and your own safe zone, when you don't have that for months on end. Now we've been home. Hatebreed's been home for over a year now. That's crazy to be off the road that long for a band like us, right? So now I'm home. I've been home, and now I'm used to those things that I took for granted. They're back in my life full time again. So I know I'll miss them again when I when we start up again, whenever that will be. But yeah, it's one of those things, like, it's not noticeable when it's happening, but if you really sit down and think about it, you miss those little things that everyone who's at home takes for granted. And that's what I hate being away from.
Well, one last thing I want to mention to you, and this is not a question. First of all, I want to thank you for taking the time today to answer my questions, to talk about the new album, talk about Hatebreed in general. But before I let you go, I just have to say this. One of the greatest memories that I have from spending time with my son, I only have one son, besides the shit that we do on YouTube or on our channel, is a memory from sharing Hatebreed live with him. We have a picture that somebody snapped of the two of us at a Hatebreed show. It was actually at Montreal. And the happiness in our faces in the middle of the pit is forever embedded, is tattooed in that picture. It's the greatest picture we have together. So from a father's perspective, you guys have given me a moment that will last for a lifetime. That moment that I shared with him on that pit will forever be part of what makes us father and son. So I just want to thank you for that.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story.
Well, I just want to mention that, because
I'm glad it was our show. I'm glad it was our show and you had that special moment with us.
Yeah, we had a bond when we saw you guys in Toronto. It was our first time seeing Hatebreed together. And then we made sure, like, when you guys were playing in Montreal, it's like, I don't care where we are in the venue or we got to be there. So we actually end up showing up really early because we wanted a spot right at the front. So we stay there in the sun waiting for you guys to come on. And then somebody captured that moment, the happiness in his face. I've never seen my son that happy ever. I don't think I've ever been that happy. And then my happiness became the happiness of seeing him happy once I saw the picture. So that moment that you guys given us, that's now embedded in that picture, will forever be one of the greatest moments that I've shared with my son. So I have to thank you and the guys for that.
That's amazing. I will definitely pass the word to everybody else. And thanks for sharing that with me.
Well, thank you.
We'll be doing it again soon. I hope next year.
I'm dying to see you guys on the road again, and I'm dying to see this album live. This album has so many it's song after song. Like I said at the beginning, I honestly don't know. You guys are going to have to extend the set to like 2.5 hours or something. Include a lot of these tracks, because I don't know how you're going to pick. There's no bad songs on this album. It just hits you song after song after song.
Thanks for saying that. Yeah, it's a ripper. It's a ripper. And it's crazy to think, like, Hatebreed songs are typically shorter and in structure and just kind of easier in structure, especially the older stuff. So we play an hour, maybe an hour and 15 now, and that's already like 30 songs. So how many songs are we going to play if we do 2.5 hours?
It's true. Like, this album is only like 35 minutes, when you think about it.
It's short and sweet.
Yeah, it's not a long record. It's easy to digest. And I think that's a beauty of it, because you guys pack so much aggression onto this record. If this album was 1 hour, I think people would be going to the hospital, not because of COVID, but because of listening to Hatebreed pounding them to submission for an hour. So the 35 minutes to me works really well because you come in strong and hard, but it's a short period of time. So it allows you to kind of catch your breath before you press replay again.
That's every Hatebreed album.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it.
Yes, sir.
Well,
yes,
Matt,
sir. Going all the way back to Satisfaction. The Satisfaction, I think, was 27 minutes. Yeah. And since then up until now, you know, we haven't strayed too far off of that length of time. So here we are, 35 minutes, not much longer than Satisfaction back in the day. So we're still sticking true to our format and our identity and what we do. Just new elements added in there.
Yeah. There's just a new sprinkles in there. There's a few new sprinkles in there.
Well, different spice in the pot now. We're always keeping it fresh.
Yeah, some of the ingredients are the same. It's just, you know, you just added a few more spices.
That's it. Yeah, we love playing with the spices.
Yeah, and you guys definitely do that. Well, Matt, thank you very much for your time, man. I really appreciate it. This was an absolute pleasure and a blast to talk to you about the record.
Thank you. Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, best of luck with the release. I'm looking forward to seeing all the feedback from everybody who hasn't had a chance to listen to it yet. I'm sure people are going to go mental on the 27th. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the road. I'll be on the front row with no shirt on.
With your son.
Huh?
With your son.
Yeah, with my son. The two of us. He's taller than me, so you'll probably see him before you see me. He's a big dude. The two of us will be in the front row, screaming our lungs off and yelling and jumping and smiling with a smile from ear to ear.
Awesome! Can't wait to see it in person.
Yeah, take care, man. All the best.
Thanks. You too, man. Be safe.